Shalom, brothers and sisters. So, Israel celebrated their 75th birthday. So let's talk about that. Can Israel survive? On the eve of Israel's 75th year of existence as a sovereign nation, it's heartbreaking to even ask the question, can they survive? But that was the essence of a recent article which appeared in their local newspaper. The writer mentioned that former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, I posted that when that happened back in the day, when he said, will they even make it to 80? He said, our ancestors blew it, explaining they could not keep it together for more than 80 years. He said that a review of their history suggests that as Jews, we haven't been able to run our own country for more than 80 years. Psalm 90 verse 10. There had only been 79 years of Jewish sovereignty and a Jewish state, and once King David died, it ended in a split kingdom in his grandson's reign. Even at a later period, the Maccabees ruled for less than 80 years, and all these events caused them to speculate that perhaps the Jewish nation is incapable of living sovereignly into the future. In an attempt to suggest we look into Plan B, Moti Kahana, the writer, says, perhaps our destiny is to wander the world and promote positivity, Jewish values and strengths. They're talking about calling it quits and heading back into the nations when God has pulled them back to their land. Though every one of Israel's wars, if we look at 1956, the Suez Crisis, the massive Gaza rocket attacks of 2021, everything in between, God has neither slumbered nor slept. Psalm 121 verse 4. He's been by their side. He's been fighting for them, helping them win against all odds. The nations coming up against them, and he shows the nations that his promises are still in effect. They don't have a shelf life. They're forever. He did that in spite of Israel's soiled state. They need to stop relying on their own strength and pride, their own attitudes, their own feelings of how amazing their military is. They need to start seeing their limitations, and despite everything, their shortcomings, their need for God to come back into their lives, to completely submit to him. They need to say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So now my deliberation or question here back to you, based on this article that they're busy contemplating. Can they make it to 80 years? No, they can't. But why do you say that? Psalm 90 verse 10, 70 years, 80 years, they're not going to make it. They're aiming, but think about it. No one's talked about this. We all talk about going to get to the end of the tribulation before the 80 years is up, so maybe up to just before the 81st birthday, they're still 80, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean they made it as a nation. That means they won't be wiped out as a people, not a nation. Halfway through that last final week of Daniel, the Antichrist goes into the temple, desecrates it, the abomination of desolation, declares himself God, immediately declares war on Jews and Christians. The Bible warns them not even to go into their houses, their rooms to go and get their stuff, but to flee immediately. Those that do go back for stuff are not going to make it. They're going to get slaughtered. He's going to wipe out massively as many as he can. So in my mind, even if it's called Israel after that, and he will probably keep it that way so that he can prove his strength and dominance over everything, it won't be Israel. They never made it as a people in a nation for 80 years. They will be divinely protected and hidden by God. Those who survive, they'll have the scales removed from their eyes. They'll be worshipping the true Messiah, and they'll be kept to the end. It's all in the book. But did they make it to 80 years? No, they did not, because you cannot make it without God, and that is the essential truth here. They might not realize this yet. Believers might not realize this yet. But the essential lesson here is that without God, you can't do it. Israel can't do it. They're going to make it past 80 years in the 1,000-year reign. with God, 100% submitted to Him, Messiah King, then they'll get it right. That is why we're praying for them now. We're praying for their hearts to be softened, their eyes to be opened, their ears to hear, the blind to see. Yeshua to keep unlocking hearts and letting those early figs drop now so that they can be ready to go with us when the time comes, so that less can face what's lying ahead. Because what's lying ahead for them and for believers after we're gone would be worse than the Holocaust by a long shot. Anyway, that's my take on things with regards to Israel on their 75th birthday. God bless. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem and keep looking up. Shalom.